All right, welcome to Adapt Digital Podcast number 3. This week, I feel like is going to be kind of a venting session. We're just going to spend some time hanging out, have some fun talking about what's going on in our world this week with our marketing adventures in the contractor world and all the things that we get to deal with on a daily basis, the good, the bad, the ugly. Hang out with us for the next 45 minutes and hopefully learn something valuable. So Dino, let's start off with what's pissing you off this week, man?
Google, as always, but lately I've seen things being worse and worse compared to before. So, mostly related to their Google Maps side of things, Google Business Profiles. And we talked about how that's ideally the best way you can get found online. But for most businesses, it's getting harder and harder to be actually just live on Google Maps. And that's what's frustrating me because we work with some businesses that sign up with us. They've been in business for multiple years and their Google business profile is suspended for some reason. And it's just sometimes tough to get it live. And in a way, like Google doesn't really know what they're doing in that regard as well. Sometimes it takes them like 3 weeks just to review the email you sent them or the video verification they ask. So that's kind of frustrating. Just to go back kind of in time, like a few years back, how you verify your Google business profile was super simple. Like you sign up, they send you a code to your address, you just type it in, and boom, you're live. Like they didn't suspend profiles left and right like they do right now. And then a few years later, they kind of ditched that and they went into video verification so that nowadays when you create a Google business profile, most likely they're going to ask you to do a video, show your business, show proof of business, your location, just things like that. And that worked really well for some time. Nowadays, it still works, but it's just been worse and worse. Like people would do the regular videos, they would show everything right, and Google would not accept them for no regular reason. Same thing happens if Google Business Profile gets suspended. And it's also not really clear why it gets suspended. Like they just tell you, hey, your profile doesn't follow guidelines, but they wouldn't tell you what's wrong. So it really sucks. That's what's been pissing me off for the last few months. Like I've noticed kind of drop in Google's quality when it comes to dealing with Google business profiles.
It's always been a struggle. Sorry to cut you off, Val. It's always been a struggle to get those live. We used to have the postcard thing. Like, how has it changed though lately? Like, are they all getting suspended? Is it AI automation? Like, what do you think the problem is? What's the solution?
Google is just getting more sensitive. Like I've seen profiles get suspended if someone leaves a review that Google doesn't like. If they do a post where they talk about their services and they mention something, and then the next day they just get an email saying, hey, your profile was suspended because Google doesn't follow the guidelines, or just things like that. So that's been the case. So I think Google just became much more sensitive compared to before. And nowadays, anything can get you suspended. I actually have one story from one of the clients that we work with. Recently, he went to bid a job, and before he arrived, like the homeowner called another company, and this guy came in, and they kind of gave the quotes at the same time, and his quote, like quote from our client, was lower than the other company's quote. And these guys were not really happy about that. They started cursing him off, saying, hey, we're going to do bad things to you. And like they started threatening, which is kind of crazy for me because the homeowner is the one that made the decision to go with them, not the other company. So what they did is they reported his Google business profile and reported him on Google. And a few days after, his profile is suspended. And like I hear those kind of stories all the time where Google just suspends your profile out of because of nothing, and there's not much you can do besides just reach out to them like 20 times before they take you seriously. And unfortunately, Google is too big to kind of take small businesses too serious. So I think that's part of the problem as well. Like they run things like there's nowhere else you can go to get leads except Google. So they have the complete monopoly, so they can kind of do whatever they want.
So if I get suspended, if my GMB account is suspended on the Google, usually there is not too much information there what to do.
Mm.
What would be my next steps? What is my options? What could I do?
Yeah, so the good thing is when your profile gets suspended, Google allows you to submit an appeal. But a lot of the times that appeal doesn't work. Like I have some crazy stories about that too. In a way, it doesn't really matter what you say in that appeal as to who's looking at it. Like once I just submitted an appeal and I said, "Hey, we're a real company. Please make our business profile live." And like from in a few days, like they did it. I didn't submit any proof. I didn't do anything. I just told them, "Hey, like aggressively make our profile live." And they did it. Like other times, I would submit the license, insurance of the company, photos of like their tools, all sorts of things, and they're just like, sorry, we can't really make you live. And I'm like, why? Just tell me why. And they wouldn't do any of that. And like once you submit an appeal, if it gets denied, like in that portion of appeals, they just say, hey, your appeal was denied. Most people look at that and they're like, it's denied. So what now? Like what else can I do? Something not a lot of people do understand is that you can also submit an appeal for denied appeal. It's kind of buried in Google's information and documentation, so it's kind of tough to find. And I find that to work really, really well. Like if you submit an appeal to a denied appeal, I think it's like an actual human reads it or someone, so it works much better than just the first appeal that you send. So that's kind of the way and the process of just making your Google Business Profile live again.
So you just keep trying, basically.
Yeah, you can't leave them alone because Google is not going to leave you alone. Like if you stop trying, they will never make you live. So you can only keep trying until you get someone that actually cares about you and your business and you being on Google to help you get live.
Are there things that you can do to make the process potentially go smoother?
You really can't tell, honestly. Like sometimes it's super smooth. Like the other day, we got a new client. He never had a Google Business Profile. He's been trying to make it live. He couldn't do it. He came to us and we did it in like, I believe it was less than a week. Sometimes it takes 3 weeks. Sometimes it takes 4 weeks. And like we kind of follow the same process all the time. So it really depends on Google and who is reviewing the things that you send. So sometimes super easy, sometimes super hard, even though you do the same thing, which doesn't make sense, but that's the way Google works.
One thing I've done in the past, so this applies to when you're creating a new listing rather than your existing listing just gets suspended. But I would basically, like last time I started a new company, it was Coeur d'Alene Landscapers. And before I created the Google business profile, we built a website. We did a bunch of citations online. We put the name, address, phone number all over the place on our website, off of our website. I think we had a social media, we had a Facebook. We did all this stuff. And then from my address, I went and created the Google business profile, and the verification process just happened automatically. Like we didn't have to do anything. It just automatically was approved and the listing was live instantly. And it's kind of like sometimes it kind of feels like witchcraft or like magic or something, you know. You're like, oh, you know, sprinkle in a little bit of this, like we'll try this. And like sometimes it's super easy. Sometimes you do everything perfect and it's like super hard. So
you would say it's like a weather forecast, you know? The Google works like a weather forecast more.
kind of.
than
It's like
fact
like
find.
Dino was saying, we just never get any feedback from them. It's like your appeal was denied or you are not following our guidelines. And then they send you a link to something that like, oh, you're doing politics in the UK. And it's like, no, man, I clean floors in the United States. Like what are you guys even talking about? So it's always been a nightmare to get any information out of Google. Which is one reason why we have jobs. Like Google doesn't really tell you what to do, so it's a constant game of like trial and error and trying to figure out what seems to work more often than not, and then it changes like every year.
Yeah, and like the crazy thing is, like once you actually send them an email and they review it, they're gonna tell you, hey, your profile doesn't follow the guidelines, we can't make you live. You just resend them the same email in like the email reply, and they're like, congratulations, your Google Business Profile is live. I'm like, man, what the heck? Come on. And that happened like so many times to me that I've stopped counting, but that's the reality.
Yeah, bottom line to this is, you know, if you can't figure out it on your own, we're here for you guys. Please come, we'll help you out.
Yeah, I mean, Dino, you handle all the GMB stuff now, but when I was doing it, I would always what seemed to work is whenever I would send an appeal email or something, like when I'd finally be getting through to an actual human, I would always take on a super stern approach of like, this is completely inappropriate.
Mm,
Like this is impacting my business. You know, I've provided everything. I've gone through the guidelines. I would just kind of be kind of a
yeah.
little bit of a Karen and just
Mm,
like cover all the bases. Like I read through every guideline. I fixed everything on my profile. There's absolutely nothing wrong. Blah 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 blah. And then
mm,
every time I would actually get that message through, it would just get approved right
mm,
away. So, moral of the story that for people that are like going through these issues is like don't give up and be like annoyingly persistent. Like
mm,
hit them up a million times. There's been times where I will sign up for Google Workspace and I'll contact Google Workspace support and be like, hey, they're not making my profile or they're not, you know, whatever. They're not fixing it. And they would always tell me, oh, well, you have to go to this page and fill out the thing. And I would just be so persistent. Like, I've already done that 3 times. It never works. I want you to do something about it now. You do the same thing with like local service ad support or Google ad support. It's basically like get any human at Google on your side and stuff seems to get resolved pretty quickly. But
mm.
it can be a tedious process.
Yeah, and I believe that's what's pissing people the most. And unfortunately, most people they don't have the info that we have, and they just contact Google once. They tell them, "Hey, we can't make you live," and then they give up. And they're in business for the next few years, and they're not really utilizing being on Google, and they're missing on so much because of that as well. So, um, anyone watching this, like if your Google business profile is suspended, just keep trying, and eventually you'll definitely make it live.
That's right. Or hit us up if you need help. We do this stuff every day. Cool. Well, I think we've beaten that topic to death. Hopefully that gets a little better so that Dino isn't so pissed off about it all the time.
Yeah, so that my life
Let's
gets
talk
easier.
about let's talk about something positive, Dino. What's a good thing going on this week?
We always hear some good and great client stories all the time. Like we have more than 130 clients, active clients at this point, and we always communicate with them. We ask them what kind of results they're getting. We also see things on our end as well, and there's always so many positive stories that kind of make it worth it what we're doing, dealing with Google and all of these sorts of things. So that's what's positive. I can start by telling a story of a well driller from Oklahoma. They came to us, I believe it was a year and a half ago. They didn't have a website, they were never online, and they wanted a new website because they wanted to be shown on Google and get some calls that way. They had their Google business profile, but they had just a few reviews. I believe it was 4 or 5 reviews, so they really didn't utilize that properly. Like they weren't getting any calls online. So what we did is we basically built them a new website. We optimized their Google business profile. We did all the standard things that we always do when a new company comes in. And basically, like right after the website got live, they've started to get calls. And in the last 6 months, they got 126 calls actually just from Google Maps. And when we filter in all the website leads they're getting and calls directly from the website, these guys are killing it. And it's not a huge company that needs all these calls, but beautiful thing about this is they can pick who they want to work with and they can choose clients that they really want to do work for. And that's one of the things that a lot of people don't get. Like we hear, like sometimes we're kind of victims of our own success. Like I can tell the other story and kind of come back to this one. But recently we did a project for a tech company, and like we did the same things. Like built them a brand new website. They got shitloads of reviews. Like, and this guy is booked for this year, and he already has 10 projects scheduled next year. And he basically didn't want to invest more into marketing because he's like, listen, we're already booked for the next few months. Like, we don't want to spend any money right now. Like, we'll do that once we need more jobs, which is totally okay. Like, we appreciate that. But what I told that guy is, hey, like, now it's time to invest because in 10 months, like, nobody can guarantee you're going to get those results that you're getting right now when you got the new website. And that's what these guys did. Like, they were getting great results, but they continued with the SEO, and now they can choose the projects that they really want to work in, because it's a luxury to kind of pick projects you want to work on, so that you don't have to take any project that comes your way, so that you just have some money to pay the guys that work for you and pay the bills. So that's kind of the moral of the story.
Why does it work for these companies and it doesn't work for somebody else? What's the difference here?
Yeah, so first thing is definitely competition. Like, the more competitive the area is, it's gonna be harder to get you calls. Like, if you're in LA and you're in Beverly Hills with, for example, 100 remodelers in 5 miles, it's much harder to put you on the map. But if you're in some rural area where there's like 10 companies in 100-mile radius, and you're in a specific niche where there isn't a lot of guys, it's much easier to get results. Especially in case of this world driller that I started to talk about. Like, these guys, they have just a few companies they're competing with. They have more reviews than everybody, and they have better website, and better SEO than everybody. So they just show up in like 30-40 mile radius around them, and they get basically all the calls they need to survive and run their business and do some good things. So competition is the number one thing for sure.
Chuck, I have a question for you. Dino
Sure.
mentioned investing in marketing. I think a lot of contractors would like to understand what would be investment in the marketing that you're facing as a company. What's appropriate amounts? Is it 1/4 of revenue, or what? How does it work?
I mean, you can go online and look at like, oh, well, how much should you spend on marketing? I think in the construction industry, for a company that's trying to grow, it's usually around 15% of revenue. But it really varies from company to company. For like the clients of ours that Dino's referring to, who have success and they're getting a ton of work and they decide not to invest more, that's I look at it as like an ROI calculation. Like, okay, I've learned in business that if something works, you do more of it. If something doesn't work, you do less of it. And you sign up with us, we do our foundational stuff, and the monthly marketing is just a continuation of that. We always equate it to, we're like the personal trainers, and your business, we're training your business in the gym. Like, it's getting stronger. If you stop working out, it's going to lose strength over time. And that's how it is with your online presence, your website, all of that, for multiple reasons. One is your competition, some of them aren't sleeping. Some of them are hitting the gym one day after another. And like the deck guy that you were talking about, Dino, he's one of those guys who came out of nowhere. The other deck companies in his area, maybe they had 50 reviews. They've been in business for 10 years. They're like, oh yeah, we're sitting pretty. And then this guy came in and got like 100 reviews in a month or two, and just completely overtook everybody in his area. And now he's dominating. The same thing can happen to him if he takes his foot off the gas, is eventually someone else will come in and just start eating his lunch. And so that's one reason why like our basic monthly marketing package is very like cost effective, and it's a good way to keep things steady, keep things improving over time, and at the same time protecting your investment. So that was something I had on my list to talk about today, is sometimes weird stuff happens and breaks either a website or a Google listing. For example, like one of our clients, 2 separate occasions, his address changed to another state. And so he just completely stopped getting calls across the board. And because we are in his stuff on a daily and weekly basis, we noticed within a couple of days and we were able to fix it. And so he only lost out on getting calls for a week or two, instead of going 6 months being like, oh, well, this stuff just doesn't work anymore, and having it be 6 months, 12 months, maybe even multiple years before they eventually figure out what happened. If they ever figure it out, a lot of companies don't. They just say, oh, Google doesn't work anymore. but it's just because something weird broke and nobody was there to fix it. So how much to invest is it's different for each company. And I would just look at, like, especially if you've already been investing, like, what have you gotten for it? And if you're investing in marketing, like, you need to be running those calculations and figuring out how much money have I made from this? Where's my break even point here? And then if something's working, you typically want to do more of it. A lot of companies don't want to grow. That's cool. They just want to stay the same size, stay consistent. That's awesome. That's what our basic package is for, is just keep things even. But if you want to grow, you invest more in the things that are working, and you keep an eye on that cost or that ROI calculation, and just make sure, like, okay, if I double my budget, do I get twice as much out? Do I get, another 50% more? Where's the line where it's not worth it anymore? What else can I do? And that's what we're really good at, is getting on with our clients and saying, hey, this is what we've done. This is where you're at now. This is what you can do now. This is what you can do in a year from now. Like, where are you trying to go? Here are your options. And, in business, it's always a balancing act of, okay, now I have a ton of leads, but I don't have enough, manpower. So now I got to find more employees. And then you hire a guy or two. And you're like, oh God, okay, now I need a lot more work to be able to pay for them. And you just go back and forth on this. And so if you're like starting from scratch and you don't have a business, by all means, go to Google and type in, like, how much should a business like mine invest, and start there. But as soon as you've been operating and investing for any amount of time, you should start to be using your own data and your own numbers to figure out, like, how much you should invest and how much it works for you, because that skill is what you're going to need to properly do this without making a bunch of mistakes, wasting a bunch of time and money. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the idea, I'll just get a website and get on a Google and my problems are solved, is not correct, right?
I mean, it might be correct for a little while, like it might solve your immediate problems, but solving one problem usually leads to another. So
as we know. And that's the thing about the marketing. Yeah, nothing stands on one place. Your market doesn't stand in still. Like you said, somebody comes in, he's more active, and suddenly you lose all the momentum.
Yeah, absolutely. I always like
Dino.
to. Oh, yeah,
I was just
sorry.
telling Dino yesterday, like, man, I feel bad for, like, our clients and us. It's like, it is so difficult to navigate the Google world sometimes, even for us.
Mhm.
Like, we have to try really, really hard to understand, why is this strategy working so well for this client and not this client? Like, we really have to dig in and stay on top of Google and all the changes they make constantly, and pay attention to the budgets, and contact our clients over and over again to be like, hey, here's the leads you got last month. Like, which ones of these did you talk to? Which ones of these turned into jobs? Like, how much money did you make? Like, it's very difficult to do this these days, because there's so many options. We're so reliant on, like, one big company called Alphabet that owns Google. Like, we're so reliant on them that we're pretty much at their mercy. And I don't, like, not to bash Google, because they've created a place where anybody can go. If you want to start a business, you get a Google business profile, you get some reviews, you get a decent website, you answer your phone, like, you are going to be given the opportunity to make money. Like, it's very, very simple at that level of, like, what you need to do these days. But, like, further down the road, it starts to get tedious in, like, how close you have to pay attention to really see what's going on clearly enough to make the right decisions.
Yeah, well, one thing I would like to add kind of to that, since we talk about Google a lot, and the way we talk about Google, some people might think we hate them. Like, we love Google. Google is awesome. Like, they produce awesome things for our clients, but we're just a bit critical of them because we
Yeah.
work with them on a
We
daily
love
basis,
you,
and we're like,
Google.
we see things most people don't. So, anybody from Google watching this, please, we don't hate you. We love you. We're just a bit critical of you.
Yeah, and
Tomorrow.
please email me and help me understand why it's so hard to get Google Business Profiles verified.
Yeah, we would appreciate that.
So I briefly mentioned how that client of ours had his address keep getting changed. It happened. Like, tell us the story, Dino, because you were really the one on the ground dealing with it.
Yeah, so basically for all of our marketing clients on a weekly basis, we run what's called local Falcon scans, and that tool allows us to see how well how good is your position on Google for certain keywords. Sometimes we just see like basically the last position you can be shown is and be tracked is 20. Like this guy was ranking super well in like 20 something mile radius. And then we do the scan in a week and it's like he's not showing up anywhere on the map. And we're like, what's going on? Like, is this the right company? Is it the right scan? Like, what's going on? Let's try it again. We do all these things and we see he's basically showing up last. So we're like, what's going on? We can't figure it out. So actually, for the first time, I had to call Google support team and they answered. For some reason, they did. So that was awesome. And they told me like, hey, yeah,
In that day.
and they told me like the address is in Florida, and this guy's in the central U.S. and he was never in Florida, which doesn't make sense how his address got updated to Florida. And I go back, I change the address within a few hours. He's ranking as he was before. Awesome. Like 2 months go by, everything is awesome. 1 week, it happens again. I'm like, now I know what's going on. So I go in, I change the address again. It gets re-verified within like 5 minutes, and within like 30 minutes, he's ranking where he was. So awesome. We still have to keep an eye on that guy pretty much on a weekly basis. It happened twice. My guess is it's probably going to happen again. So we just want to make sure that when it does, we're there to catch it and fix the issue so that this guy doesn't hate Google and doesn't think it doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up his thing. I can't see the screen though.
Yeah, guys, you have any local Falcon scans you can share? I love that
Yeah,
thing.
I'll show.
That is so visual for any business. We can figure out, pretty much anybody,
Yeah.
all your
So
competition.
these are the ones Dina's talking about. So this is before. This is he was ranking in these areas. If you've never seen one of these before, this thing measures how well you rank on Google Maps if you're searching from each one of these little dots. So if you're a 1, 2, or 3, then you're showing up right on the first page. If you're anything higher, then you're not. So this was somewhere on the beginning of the year, and then all of a sudden it was like not showing up at all. And then Dino changed his address back, and he went back to ranking all over the place.
The center of the square is your address usually, yeah?
Typically, we can set the scan to search whatever area we want, but we usually will just set it to a large enough area to get a clear picture of where a person or a company's ranking and not ranking. So anywhere that it's a 1, 2, or 3 is basically where he's getting 90% of his leads.
Awesome. And then we can see also if he's not ranking, then who's ranking in that area, right?
Yeah, we can go see all of this stuff. This is everybody who's ranking. But this is back to what I was talking about earlier. So you asked like how much should you invest? Dina's talking about, we have clients who they get a ton of leads, they don't see the need to invest. And one of the best arguments for continuing to pay us to monitor this stuff is that we are running these scans all the time. And we notice like when it goes from this to this, we know just from experience that something broke. Like this doesn't just happen naturally. Like something went wrong and there's something to fix. And when you fix it, it goes back to this and you start getting leads again. If this guy wasn't paying us to watch this or watching it himself. And anybody can get Local Falcon. Like, I highly recommend everybody who invests anything in SEO get this tool and you learn how to use it. But anyways, if nobody was noticing this, he would have just gone a long time without getting calls. He'd be wondering what's going on. He'd be stressed out. He'd be losing sleep. He wouldn't know what was going on. Eventually, he might ask, us. He'd be like, "Hey guys, like, I think I should invest in this stuff again because it's just I'm not getting any calls." And we would go in and be like, "Dude, your address is in another state. Like, why did that happen?" And he wouldn't know because sometimes this stuff just happens. You can go, like, people can make suggestions. Sometimes Google changes stuff on its own. Many times I've seen Google will let me turn that off. Google will update your phone number or something because somewhere else on the internet that Google trusts, your phone number has been changed or is different, and so Google will try to automatically update your profile. This especially happens if you don't like actively control your listing, if you aren't logged in, if you don't control it, if you don't set these things yourself as the owner of that listing, then Google's just going to take information it finds on the internet and build your listing for you. We see that all the time. Google's been creating profiles forever. And so it's just one of those things, like, if you don't get any leads ever from your Google listing, your website or anything, well, then maybe you don't have much to lose and you don't need to worry about it. But if for like our clients, if any of you guys watch this and you're like, we don't want to invest in marketing because, we get all the leads that we need. I would say we probably just didn't do a good enough job explaining that it's not just getting more, it's protecting what you have and making sure you don't lose it.
Absolutely. Couldn't said it better.
There has been lately all kinds of weird stuff also happening online and on Google. Do you want to share something about that?
What do you mean?
Tell that story about our client who had a double website, copied website.
Oh, yeah. So, like, what a lot of people do nowadays is like building a website with AI has never been easier. Like, you can just go to AI, you can tell it a few things, and it will build you a website. Like, it's never been easier than before. So, what a lot of people do nowadays, like some designers, developers, a lot of these guys, is they would find a company online and they would build them a website with AI in like 5 minutes. And then they would reach out to them and offer, "Hey, do you want to buy this? Do you want to update your website? Like, this looks really nice," especially if their website is not looking best. One of those things happened to our client, and that website basically got live on Google. It had his business name, it had his photos, it had his info, but the phone number was wrong. It was from some other company. Nobody reached out to him, unfortunately, so we couldn't really figure out why someone did that. Was it a competitor? Was it someone trying to show him he could have maybe a better looking website or something? We don't know, but basically what we had to do is we had to kind of report that to Google in multiple places so that they would get it off of Google. It took us like 2 weeks, but we could see a slight drop in rankings for that company during that period when that website was live, because you have two websites. Google is looking at that. They're like, why does this company have two websites and phone number is wrong on this one? They just assume you did it, and there was the same domain, except it wasn't .com, it was .co. So that can hurt your business without you even knowing. Like, we talked to, like, Val and I talked to one guy the other day, and when we were doing the research, I found out he had a second website he didn't even know about. And it was showing on Google above his main website when you put his business name down. And guy was surprised. He's like, "I don't know what that is. Like, I've never seen it before." I'm like, "Dude, you have a second website." So that stuff happens a lot, and most people aren't aware that a duplicate of your website might exist online with a wrong phone number or something.
So not only duplicate websites, but also duplicate Google My Business account is something that you shouldn't have for your business, because not only confuses Google algorithm, but also it takes your leads to completely wrong side. You're just losing clients, right?
Absolutely. I've also seen a lot of people having listings on Google created by Google that I don't know about. And they try to create their listing, they're trying to use their name, and Google just won't make them live. And then we go in and we see, like, hey, dude, you already have a profile on Google. And they don't have access, like, they didn't know it exists. A lot of people, they have duplicates. They started to create one and they got suspended. They couldn't verify it, so they just start again without removing that listing. And they can never go live. That's also one of the reasons why it's hard for some people to get live or get their profile live on Google Maps, because they might have other listing that's suspended or not under their ownership.
I think it's important to explain, or like, try to explain how Google works and help people understand that a lot of this is common sense. So Google, like, what is the point of Google search? This magical thing that we want our company to show up on, like, how does it all work? And I think if you just kind of think through it a little bit, that's a lot of what we do. For example, like, your company has 2 different websites. Maybe you knew about that, maybe you didn't. And you have 2 different Google business profiles. Maybe you know about the other one, maybe you don't. And Google's job is to show people the best search results. That's why everybody uses Google. It's because for the last 20 years, if you have a question or you're searching for something, you go to Google, type it in, and most of the time, the first thing you see is exactly what you're looking for. And we were, like, my generation, I think I'm a millennial. We were trained to do this, like, as we were teenagers and coming up in the world. Is like everything you do was like, oh, go to Google, you find it there. And so that's what everybody does now is, oh, I want to find a plumber. You go to Google, type in plumber near me. Google shows you a bunch of stuff at the top of the screen, and your brain automatically assumes that whatever you see up there is the best option. And maybe some of it says sponsored, so you know that those are advertisements and that anyone can pay for those. And maybe you don't have the best experience with advertisements, so you skip past those and you go to what we call the organic search, but you go down to where it's just the natural land of the internet on the line. And what you assume whatever you see there is the best because Google has always showed you the best search result. Okay, so that's like the purpose of Google. That's why Google's the biggest company on the internet. And so Google's main goal as a company is to always show the best search results, because if they stop doing that, people are going to go find something else. They're not going to keep going to Google if it's not showing them what they want. So Google has had to get really good at understanding, well, what are the best search results? And to keep it simple, like, we are talking about it in reference to like local businesses. So how does Google know what local businesses are the best to show? I think it's worthwhile to skip a step and just think about what happens after someone finds a local business. They'll give them a call, they'll fill out a contact form. If that company is the best search result, after all, they're going to provide a great service, a great experience to that customer. That customer is going to find what they were looking for. They're going to stop searching. Later on, they're going to go back to Google. They're going to leave a review for that company. And so Google saw that happen and they're like, cool, we did the right thing by showing that company. So take a step back. How does Google know which companies are best to show? They have a whole bunch of methods, but one super common sense method is Google's it's like a library of the internet. It knows, it's constantly scanning every website that there is. And so when company A pops up, Joe's Plumbing, Google says, okay, what do we know about Joe's Plumbing? They got one website, one Google listing. There's 50 other mentions of that company online. They all say the same thing, the same name, phone number, address. All of it lines up. We are super confident that Joe's Plumbing in this location is, like, we are confident in this information. We're 100% sure that there is a Joe's Plumbing here and that this is their phone number and this is their address and this is their website and all of that. And so that's a huge factor for Google. And then you compare that with the previous example of this company has multiple websites, they have multiple Google listings. If I look at the 50 mentions of this company online, there's 4 different phone numbers, 3 different addresses. Google's only 10% sure about the information for this company. So they're just going to throw that to the side and not show them because they're not totally sure that that information's accurate. So that's like one of the cores of what we do. We call it foundational, but all we're doing is making sure that when Google looks at your company, it all adds up and Google can say we are 100% sure about this information. That's a huge step because the majority of companies out there have incomplete information online. Their online presence is just all wacky and they have no idea, but Google gives them a lower confidence score, and so they just don't show up. So in the construction world, local service businesses, it's pretty easy to get ahead if you just figure out how to line everything up and let Google be super confident in you. That's like the core step. If you don't do that and you try doing other things, you go get 1,000 reviews, but you've got multiple websites or you try running local service ads, like Google still isn't quite sure about the information that you want it to show. And so it's less likely to show it. So
to summarize it, the first thing is really to make sure that Google algorithm and all your presence of your business on internet has the same information, right? It's not there are no inconsistency. Otherwise, Google algorithm just will spit you out, basically.
Yeah. Like think about it if you were Google and like your grandma called and said, "Hey, I'm looking for a plumber," and you've got 100 plumbers in your phone, and half of them have 3 different phone numbers, and you're not sure which one works. Well, you're not going to send her any of those.
Okay.
And you just work your way up through the list until you give her the one that you think is going to work out the best for her. That's all Google's doing. And so without even understanding the technicalities of SEO and Google algorithms and stuff, if you just think about it through a lens of common sense, like Google's a person, I want them to refer me to people who are searching for a plumber. Let me make sure Google has my exact information and nothing else so that it'll send it to people. Like it's just like that. Ask me more questions, Val.
More questions.
Dino, you wanted to talk about Beloved. Let's talk about those guys.
Sure. Yeah, so a client of ours, they're from Arizona. Awesome people. We started working with them a few months ago. They're kind of high-end remodelers. They do high-end full home remodels. They also do smaller projects, kitchens, bathrooms, and these guys are killing it. Like that's the best way to put it. Like the other day when I looked at their stuff and the amount of leads they got in the last just 3 months, I was kind of mind blown by it. Honestly, like I haven't seen a remodeler get that many leads for the money they spent in such a big area in a long time. And I'm honestly impressed by what they're doing and the results they are getting. And they're super busy. Funny thing is, like they're also working on their own homes, and they can't really find time to do any work on their own homes because they have so many projects going on for them. So that kind of tells the best how busy these guys are. But I'll now leave it to you, and you can kind of tell more of that story as well.
Well, I want to know more. I want to know like how many leads are we talking over the last few months?
Yeah, so over the last 3 months, they've got close to 100 leads in total. So that's combining all the calls they got from Google Ads, website form submissions, calls from Google Maps, and also calls from local services ads. So these guys are doing everything. Like they're doing the SEO. We built them a new website. We optimize their Google business profile. They're doing Google Ads, local services ads. So they show up in basically all 4 categories of Google. So when people look, like they just show up in every area. Their website is super nice. They have awesome photography and videography on the website. They show their faces. they have awesome reviews. Like people are saying nice things about them because they really do great work. They're super great at communication, all of these sorts of things. So people just really love them and people want to work with them. And it kind of sucks because not all people can work with them because they're a bit picky on what kind of projects they want to work. And that's one of the things I kind of hate when we get someone such an awesome results that some people will never really experience working with that company. But some people that are selected, the chosen ones, they will get to see how great that company is. And I'm proud of us being able to show that guy and, get that privilege to some of these guys that choose him and that he chooses them as well.
So they basically have so much leads that they can choose who they're working with.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's honestly crazy. The amount of calls they get, leads, like they basically get new leads every single day. Like we are basically always checking like our emails, we're checking websites, like who's getting leads, how many, what kind of leads. Every day I check that and they show up on the list and I'm like, does this ever stop for these guys? But it doesn't. So that's awesome.
Well,
Yeah,
there.
those are the guys that I was talking about yesterday where I'm like, man, I feel bad for I feel bad for all of us that have to deal with Google because it's like, why is it working? Like, why are these guys having so much success? Meanwhile, like in another city, in another state, companies spending 3 times as much is getting less leads. And, the only answers, like, we can't say for sure all of the time. We can just kind of look at the overall trends. Like, for example, obviously the competition there's less competition where they're at in Arizona than other clients we work with. So that's a huge factor. Competition, so that's like the supply side, how much supply is there, and then how many people are actually looking for these projects. So that would be the demand side. How much demand is there? How much supply and demand? That's like basic economic stuff. But one thing I can say about these guys is they just do everything right, all the basic stuff. Like they have a really great website. We built them an awesome website. They have amazing branding. Their logo is really characteristic of the company. They've got their faces front and center. They just did exactly what we told them to do. And as far as like, hey, this is what works, guys, they're like, cool, we're going to do that. Got the website, business profile, get reviews on a consistent basis. They do local service ads. They did Google ads. Altogether, they spend about $5,000 a month, and they're getting, more than a lead every day. And their projects range from like 50 to 250,000, maybe more sometimes. So even if they had a really small conversion rate, like 10% of the leads actually turn into jobs, when I think it's more like 20, they would do really well. And on the back end, they track everything super closely. They have a list of every single lead that comes in. As soon as they talk to a lead and they're going to meet them and give them an estimate, this lead goes into their project management software. They track every single thing. They have all the charts. Like they could look at their data at the end of every single month and know exactly what happened, how much money they spent to get the customers, how much they made. And when you just put all this stuff together, it really snowballs and it turns into something that you can really scale up. These guys they have a very small budget relative to other companies their size. And so if they could double or triple their budget next year and probably see a pretty linear growth pattern for a while. So they're really just getting started. And we can contrast it with other clients we work with who, like, they might spend a lot of money, but they struggle to do some of these basic things. And so, like, my philosophy on business has really become like figuring out like the basic things to do and like just do those right every day. Get the reviews, answer the calls, make sure that there's somebody watching your marketing who knows what the heck they're doing. Don't cheap out and hire some company that'll do it for $200 a month. Like you get what you pay for always. And then when something works, like track things close enough to see that it's working and keep doing it. Like do more of it. So common. It's so common for me to see people that like do stuff that works and they're like, oh man, like I tried something new and it worked. Like what else can I try? And they'll like keep trying new stuff and they'll forget about and abandon the things that like got them where they are. So
It's usually the
love to
basics
see
that
those
work,
guys.
but like people always just want to chase the shiny things, not really focused on the basics. Like you tell people to get reviews all the time and they're like, dude, it's so simple, like just give us something that isn't simple. And like they sometimes don't believe like that works so well, but it works because it's basic, it's simple. That's why it works. Like you want simple things to work, you don't want complicated things to work. It's much better to make simple things work.
I mean,
like getting reviews.
that's nature. It's like complicated shit almost never works.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, I love the guy where I'm like, hey man, like number one thing you could do, get more reviews. They're like, what? I already have 9.
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, you need 90, dude.
Yeah, it's like the same way they tell you, hey, we need more jobs. You're like, how many jobs you have? Well, we have 1. Well, 1 is all you need. Like, why do you need more jobs? Come on. Same thing.
Yeah. How many leads do you want? Oh, as many as I could get. It's like, oh, so 100 a day would be good.
That'd be
All right,
perfect.
guys, we're a little past the hour, so we better get back to work. But it's been fun chatting with you guys. I look forward to doing it again next week.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And if you guys watching this have any questions that you would like to see us answered in the next one, just leave it in the comments and we'll get to you.
Yeah, good one. All right, see you later, guys.